Bleacher Report makes a Zion trade to the Detroit Pistons. Pistons receive Zion Williamson and Kira Lewis, one of my favorites. Pelicans receive Bojan, James Wiseman, Killian Hayes, a 2026 first round pick, top 3 protected, and a 2028 first round pick. Bleacher Report, they always seem to make Zion mock to the Detroit Pistons. I don't get that. Whether, I don't know if they want to help us out or they're just hoping that like he never gets healthy and the Detroit Pistons are just stuck with him. But I am all in on this trade. I think this is it's a win for the Pistons for sure. Like, you're going to get people in the seats. You're going to get eyes watching the Detroit Pistons. And who knows, you might even get a healthy Zion Williamson. I don't think he takes the ball out of Cade's hands. I think him and Cade would just be phenomenal together. I think having Zion being able to play off the ball with a guy like Cade who could find him cutting to the hoop or even throw him lobs or put him in position to be even a more efficient scorer, that would work out tremendously. But what were your thoughts on this trade?
I thought at its surface, it's not a bad trade, but I think what Bleacher Report didn't take into account is those draft picks, 2026 and 2028. So, as you know, the Isaiah Stewart trade with the protections. We technically own our pick, but it's really heavily protected with the Knicks. I think I don't even remember the exact protections. I think it's like top 16 protected or top 18 protected, something wild like that. I'm not entirely sure if you can trade a draft pick that's already owed to another team. So when they said top 3 protected, I don't even know if this trade is actually even possible personally. But I think if I'm a Piston fan and I saw this, I have to give up Wiseman. I have to give up Bogdanovich and Hayes for Zion. It makes sense, but the health scares me. It scares me a lot. When he's on the court, the Pelicans last year were a top 3 seed in the West. There's no denying that. He's a phenomenal player, but it's the health, it's the off the court issues. That's a distraction. I think if I'm the Pistons, for me, I don't want those distractions, even though the player is, when healthy, a top 10, top 15 player in the league. I think I would probably pass on a trade like this.
Really? You wouldn't want to gamble on him potentially just getting healthy? Even with the distractions, I think a healthy Zion is worth it. I mean, we've only seen a healthy Zion one time where he played 61 games in the 2021 season, but he averaged 27 a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Dude, he's an offensive terror, man. I would definitely take the gamble. You lose a little bit of shooting, but man, if he can stay healthy, that boosts your team to top 4 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it would, but here's my thing. I don't want to compare the two, but gives me Blake Griffin vibes, big time. And I'm not saying Zion and Blake Griffin are the same player. I think Blake had way more injuries during his Clipper days than Zion has had with the Pelicans. My thing is they're similar because they both have injury histories. Even if this trade was real, let's just say, hypothetically, you could take the protections off, whatever. I know Brian Anton said you couldn't even make this trade because, the Knicks have protections. He's 100% right. I know there were protections with the draft picks, but getting back to the trade at its surface, I think you're giving up a lot. You're giving up a guy that you just traded for in James Wiseman, which who knows what's there. A guy in Killian Hayes, which I feel like everyone watching this probably would be happy that he would be gone. I see very few Killian Hayes fans. There are some in the chat. I don't want to say, but a majority of the fan base they just don't want him on the team. And then Bojan Bogdanovich, who is arguably your best shooter, arguably one of the better vets that you do have on this team. I would just have a really hard time accepting a trade like this because I don't think he would stay healthy in Detroit. I just don't. With our medical history over the past 10 years, dude, he would probably maybe play 20 to 30 games at the max. Not to mention, man, like get him on a Coney dog, get him on some Sweetwater wings. Hell no, man. He's gonna be passing out. Like, come on. Like the food down in Detroit, hell no. Like I just I would pass on it.
Okay, but if you were guaranteed 2 healthy seasons of Zion with a healthy Cade Cunningham, because I mean, I think we all agree Cade's going to stay healthy. But if you got 2 full seasons, no, we'll just say like 70 games in the playoffs with Zion Williamson, you get 2 seasons of that. You want to make that trade if that's what you got?
No, I really wouldn't. I just think that there's so much risk in trading for him, and he's not a bad player. He's really not, but I think a lot of the media, they believe that the Pistons are the same front office that traded for Blake Griffin. Like, this is a Bleacher Report article, but we were just talking about this last month in June, or 2 months ago in June, when ESPN had wrote a piece about the Pistons trading for Zion Williamson. Bobby Marks, mind you. Not to mention, look up his contract extension.
I'm looking at it right now. Crazy.
It's ridiculous. You have to pay Cade. You're going to have to pay Dern. You're going to have to pay Ivy. Like, if you trade for Zion, it's a win-now move. And I don't think the Pistons are a Zion Williams away from a championship. I just don't.
Man, I don't know. With the way Cade was playing for Team Select, and then you get a healthy Zion, I don't know. Those two together, healthy on the floor, with Jaden Ivey, Duren, and Asar doing their thing, I don't know. You might be a playoff team in the East. Maybe not a 4th seed, like I said just a couple of minutes ago, but dude, you're definitely a play-in team. But you're talking maybe 7, 6, or 5 seed with a healthy Zion with this team.
Yeah, man. I remember when he was a rookie and he wasn't playing because he was injured. He was passing on the bench. He couldn't stay awake. Like, he is a very great player. Like, I'm not saying he's trash by any means. It's just, if the Pistons were going to trade for a quote-unquote star player, I just think it has to be a player that can play a full season, doesn't have the off-the-court issues with Mariah Mills. Like, there's so many red flags with him where it's just like, you could make a, like, positive and negative chart. There's more negatives than there are positives with him as a basketball player.